analyst. Well, speaking of Hillary Clinton and her campaign for president, she has famously spoken of a debt-free college plan in the U.S. Our next guest says free is pretty much what a modern college education is worth. In fact, he says colleges are making our kids dumber. It is the subject of the September cover story of The Atlantic. The CEO of the Foundation for Individual Rights in Education, Greg Lukianoff, is with me now. Greg, great to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, cursing makes us smarter. Is that the takeaway here?
Freedom of speech makes you smarter.
Speech. Okay.
And what's going on campuses right now, and I've been doing this as a First Amendment lawyer for 15 years, they police speech to such a degree that it makes hard to say anything right.
So in your article, you cite that there are certain novels, The Great Gatsby, one of them, which there are triggers, in other words, warnings, which to me seems ludicrous, but you're saying this has been going on for years, and I just personally didn't know about it.
Something's happened in the last 2 years. It's gotten a lot more intense, and the difference between the rest of my career and now is that a lot of this stuff is actually coming from students, whether they're talking about policing trigger warnings or microaggressions. It's like it's forcing people to talk on eggshells, essentially.
Okay, because I'm thinking of The Great Gatsby,
yeah.
And okay, yes, there were some, I guess, violence, but I mean, this is by far one of the calmer books, I think, that's out there.
Yeah, well, and part of our point is that we refer to this as vindictive protectiveness. This idea that essentially people are saying, that person over there is very vulnerable, so therefore we should be banning this book or warning people about things or basically not talking about important, deep issues in college, which is, of course, antithetical to the idea of college.
I was just going to say, that's kind of the point of college. And I know you quote a few professors saying that for some of the students, they feel,
yep.
right? And then, therefore, we have to accept their feelings as reality.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I keep on getting reports from professors is that they're afraid of their own students to a degree because they think that they're not going to be able to completely conform with the increasingly Byzantine rules that you have to comply with not to get in trouble with students.
So what kind of additional feedback? I mean, what is the normal step forward here?
Well, you know, one of the things we talk about in the article is this idea of getting people to understand what a cognitive distortion is. And it's a little bit of a complicated idea, but it's just a mental exaggeration. And what we're trying to do in this article is introduce the idea that if we could all talk to each other, if we could teach people how to debate and discuss, like we should be doing in higher education.
On points of logic.
On points of logic, it could really allow for a better conversation than we're currently having in higher education.
So, but why isn't that happening? Because to your point, that's one of the main purposes of going to college.
Yeah, I think that we've created an environment that's too stifling. Now, I think that there are a lot of great professors out there. I think there are a lot of great students, but it only takes a handful of students who say, you can't say that, you can't teach that, to actually start chilling the entire environment for speech on a campus.
Greg, it's a great piece. Thank you so much for coming to talk about it. Greg Lukianoff joining me there. He is the CEO of the Foundation for Individual Rights in Education.